Колеги, доброго ранку.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. We continue our work, and the topic of the next briefing is Found in Kyiv project about prominent people and culture. And our speakers are Halyna Tanay, poet, and also Olha Honchar, cultural scientist, culture projects, and project coordinator of Yizdets, and also Yaryna Tsymbal, expert in literature, linguistics professor, researcher in the Shevchenko Literature Institute, and Darya Dobriyan, PhD student of Kiev National University, Faculty of History, Oleksandr Murashko researching works. And good afternoon, dear colleagues, and all the viewers who watch us on YouTube. And today, with Galina, we would like to present our new project about we want to tell you about scientific research and popularization of science in culture in Ukraine. Yizdets a project that we represent, and if you hear this title, you will be interested in this. And we started this project, and writers tell about different parts of Ukraine. We prepare such edition with texts and photos. Also, there will be some advice what to visit, what to see. When we started the project, Galina was our main ideologist of the project and the main driver, and we wanted to create this book and to tell about it, and we started to create some excursions, some interesting meetings, and our colleagues became informal guides, tour guides, and we people want to know about culture and about different activists and promoters of culture, and we decided to create a series of lectures. And now I will give the floor to Galina, and she will tell you about this project in more detail and why this project Found in Kyiv is important. Good afternoon. As for lectures, this is such a format. You know that there are many lectures are held, and we wanted to see all these places, to visit them, but weather doesn't permit this, and we don't want to wait. We want to know something interesting and new. And as to lectures, why Found in Kyiv? This is a series of lectures that are oriented on people. History is always connected with people who contribute to culture, to science, and due to these people we can get some knowledge and understanding. And for Found in Kyiv, we selected people who worked in the second part of the 19th century and the first part of the 20th century. And this period was rich in cultural and scientific life, and the topics that interest our visitors. We understood that there is a demand for information about this period, and people want to understand better this period, and they want to understand what was going on then. And we selected 10 personalities that represent this epoch. And of course, this is a subjective selection, and it's very difficult to include all personalities in these 10 lectures. And we decided to do it in a balanced way and to tell you about scientists and writers. And also we selected some writers as Mikhail Bulgakov. A lot has been said about him, but people are still interested in this personality. Then Oleksandr Murashko, the painter, and people know little about him and only start to learn about him. And there are less known personalities as Konstantin Kalinin, aircraft designer, and not many people know about this person. And this is a person who created passenger planes in Ukraine. And I didn't know much about these personalities. And I was interested, and it was a great opportunity to know something new about people who contributed greatly in the history and culture of Ukraine and the world, but they are not known well. We should popularize them. And I also would like to tell about personalities, and then we will go to other part of our discussion. So the personalities that will be presented is Mikhail Bulgakov, Alexandra Esther, aircraft designer Konstantin Kalinin and Igor Sikorsky, businessman and Semerenko, Ginsburg, Brodsky, Tereshchenko, and Mykola Leontovich, Geo Shkuropi, and also there will be a lecture surprise, and we will keep the intrigue. And all the projects are contributed by some people who conduct scientific research, and we would like that all our projects were like platforms to promote science and for those people who create science in Ukraine. And we know that we have some difficulties with science, and we can speak about it a lot, but we won't go into detail. There are some enthusiasts of science, those who conduct research, and we believe that our projects, they are platforms for dissemination of information about science. And now I give the floor to our lecturers. They always promote this topic by different ways. And they not only write articles, and but I would like them to that they tell us about this topic that you studied. And I know that there's a trend that some projects are created, projects like our project. And what is the influence on the dissemination of scientific knowledge? Thank you. The floor is yours. Good afternoon. Scientific research, they are always the same, regardless of whether you want to spread it in a popularized form or you are in the framework of academic science. And for the academician, I work for. I have been working on the Literature Institute for 16 years, and there's also a gap between popular science, and you cannot report this in your scientific institute, and academic science that is interesting only to the scientists that are in this that work in this sphere, and they can read your articles that are published in some journals, and there are some 300 copies of such manuals, such collections of scientific works. Some people in Volyn or other regions can read this, but I was also concerned that a lot of people ordinary Ukrainians, they don't have this knowledge, and sometimes I thought that the Academy of Science exists for the money of the taxpayers and do not do much to ordinary people. And when I had opportunities, I tried to show my research, my results to the public. And of course, the interest is great. And yesterday, I knew that Znanya, Knowledge Scientific Society, is headed by Vasil Kremin, former Minister of Education, and this organization still exists. And I couldn't even understand how this happened, because even us scientists, we do not know that they exist. We believe that it was our past, Soviet past. There were some lecturers. They had a task to conduct several lectures a month to popularize science. And now it's absolutely that institution. I don't know what they do. I saw their site. The last lecture was how to get rid of computer addiction, and I thought that it is an original idea, and maybe it's for maybe it was compiled by the scientists that are really old, about 70 years old. And I wanted them to work for younger generation, starting from school children. And people, they should get knowledge about Ukrainian literature, what I found in archives and old books that people cannot get in the library. And I can, of course, get this book because I'm a scientist, and I can disseminate and this information I got from these books. And of course, cultural projects and scientific projects that are created now in Kiev and Kharkiv and Lviv. There should be more projects like this. And even we have such a number, this cultural project, also literature project, Yizdets project, or traveler project it is called. This is a segment, these are people who attend these lectures, and every event, every session is held in the presence of many people. They find something interesting, they start to attend other lectures and this cultural environment. And these people of different age, during our excursions, I saw young children about these were school children, and the oldest were about 70 years of age. So this is a cultural community. They aspire new cultural knowledge, and as to their level of education, they are lay people, so they don't know literature like professionals, but they want to know more. And with these people, it is very pleasant to work with them. They inspire you because you understand that these taxpayers for whom you work, that this means something for them. And some people, they like to go to archives, and some people just want to be in front of computer and maybe find something interesting about foreign or Ukrainian literature. And I work a lot in archives, and now I have some knowledge, and I want to share this knowledge among people during excursions, and Yizdets or traveler helps us a lot.
Well, when Irina told about the audience, which is versatile, at our excursions we have never divided the excursions for pensioners and excursions for children, excursions for males or females. We always delivered excursions for joint audience, and as concerned about centralization of cultural events, we should talk about Ukraine in general and in Kiev in particular. Many cultural public awareness projects have been emerging recently, and they should be focused not only in cities but also I don't like this word, but they should also conduct the activities in towns, in provinces. In the other project, the underground to Kibinets, we delivered lectures in the village of Kibinets in Poltava region. Received impressions which were quite different from the city's audience. In Kiev, there are many such cultural projects and high level of competition, but anyway, it is important that new projects emerge and they should be dedicated to certain epochs, certain centuries, and they should be focused on certain audiences, but this would be focusing on too narrow directions, narrow audiences. That is why we'll better focus on wide public. When I see the audience and when I am asked who is our target audience, I understand that I can't tell what is the target audience. They are people of various educational backgrounds and various age groups. And let's return to this scientific and research area, and I would like to ask Darya to tell us about contemporary research. Maybe Darya will tell about such scientists as Murashko. Maybe there are some interesting stories which you have as a scientist. Good afternoon. I would like to start with saying that such projects like this, they have become popular in recent years, but public lectures have long traditions in Kiev. There were practices in 19th century when Kiev based professors, they delivered public lectures, not in the University of Saint Vladimir, but just for the interested stakeholders, interested grassroots public. But the general level of education was low, but those people who were interested in arts or culture, they have existed in all times. After 200 years, we have such people here who are interested in arts, so we return to those times, to those audience which we lost at the beginning of the 20th century. If a person is interested in culture or art, such an ordinary person can get such information not as a student of a university, but just as a member of general public. public. As concern my own research, I would like to say that I'm a young scientist and I have been conducting my scientific research for 4 years. After I graduated, of course, for these 4 years, I got to understand that nobody is interested in sitting in libraries and archives, facing just some librarians, communicating with librarians or archivist staff who are not very polite because they receive very low salaries. No, this is not interesting. People would like to have comfortable libraries, comfortable archive premises, which are equipped with new technological equipment, and people should be satisfied with comfortable conditions. And a lecturer also should get satisfaction from the audience, and the audience should have the opportunity to listen to a lecturer who has been involved in research about some certain cultural figure. So we have a problem also with filtering, because there are many fakes in the information environment. I am also concerned with such a problem when I researched into an artist's biography. I had no right to print illustrations, to print pictures, because there are many images, and an artist without his works, he is not an artist. You can explain his works without showing pictures. It doesn't make sense. For me, personally, it would be important that I can demonstrate using state-of-the-art equipment. I should have the possibility to demonstrate, for example, Murashko's pictures, which are preserved in Irkutsk-based museum in Russia. As concerns some curious situations in my scientific research, of course, I have them. 2 days ago, I had an interesting case when I was disseminating messages and requests. Murashko's works are spread among European galleries and other countries' galleries. That is why I have been always sending messages, email messages. And I sent one email to Moscow's Museum of Arts. Very good staff who work in Moscow's museum. They always reply to me, contrary to the Ukrainian museum staff. they answered that they have no Murashko's works. So they answered me again that Murashko's works are not available in our museum. So I found an image of the picture, of Murashko's picture, and I asked them just examine. So when they inspected all their works, after 8 months, they replied to me that this is his work, his work which I had sent them picture of, is really present, is really available in the display, and this work is marked as a work of unknown artist, and this is a huge victory. So thanks to such initiative work of researchers who love their science, who loves art, we can celebrate such small victories which are very important for Ukraine's heritage, because museums of other countries may have works of our Ukrainian artists in their museums. In Jerusalem Museum in Israel, I found a sculpture of renowned Ukrainian sculptor. The sculpture is displayed in the Israel Museum. So I would like so that my work was full of such small unpredictable victories, but also I would like to issue such descriptions so that Ukrainian public, when they visit museums in other countries, they know what works they could see in this or that foreign museum. And as you know, I research Murashko's biography. He is a very prominent artist, and I will be talking about his achievements in my lectures, and we can be proud of this person who was renowned in Europe during his life. At the time of his life already, he was killed by some unknown persons, and so far this murder has not been detected. And I found some facts about that murder, and I would be talking about his murder in my lecture. Murashko is a very renowned person because he was killed among the first persons, he was one of the first victims of the Soviet regime. He was a founder of Ukrainian Academy of Arts, and it is worth talking about such biographies and such not investigated murders. This is also a topic for journalist investigation and for research. And this is a new aspect, new area of research. This is not just rumors that he was murdered. In the USSR Security Service archives, there are documents proving that this was the ordered murder, the order murdered by the Secret Service. And as concern security service archives, yes, those archives, they were there was open access to them. For example, the cases of those literature workers, our writers who were murdered by USSR's regime, their documents concerning them, their files were open. So you can go and find information. Yes, there is public access, and your request will be accepted, but it's not for sure you will find the information you need. The cases of 1919, it was the first years of the Soviet regime. This is a special topic for archive workers. They can write in the description that this case is available, but in reality the case may be absent. When it was withdrawn in the 1990s or in the USSR's era or in our times, it is hard to find such cases. In theory, we have open access, but in practice, I can't find those cases. And the other problem is that the documents are worn out. Newspapers, when I'm looking for some articles, I receive the reply that the newspaper is worn out, so it is inaccessible, and nobody copies those old and newspapers. So researchers photocopying or rewriting some information, they just save the information which will just disappear, because those periodicals which were printed on cheap paper, they become worn out. Well, let's not finish with the problem. You can go to our web page, Yizdets project, just enter Yizdets in your browser, and our lectures will be delivered from February 16 to March 8, 3 times a week on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and we will try to deliver lectures outdoors. The site will be Shulavska. The cost of one lecture will be 100 hryvnias, but pensioners and students are entitled to 50% discount. Both researchers and managers organizing such events should join with general public. We can raise funds together and develop the ways to organize cultural events and to conduct research into the topics of arts and culture. Are there any questions? I have one question. Even two short questions and one philosophic question. Thank you for this information about the lectures. I'm ashamed to tell that some persons, some figures which you have told today about, I know not enough information about them. Why your project is focused on foreign audience? The name Found in Kyiv is in English. To find a title for any project, it is difficult. Found in Kyiv is just very short title. What about the lecture surprise? Can you comment on this surprise just a little? Well, we will tell about that when the lectures start, when the lecturing project starts. The lecture will be about one researcher who lived in Kiev, but for me it was the most pleasant when the researchers proposed their own topics. It was very, very pleasant for us because they named such figures who we don't know about. And when I saw that those persons are really well known in the world, I was surprised. And I have a question to all of you, friends. Why, for every of you, this lectures project is important? Just 2 or 3 sentences, please. Indeed, this question is difficult to answer because there are very many components. Perhaps first of all, I would like Kievites to be proud of those cultural figures who were creating Ukrainian history at the age of 19th and 20th centuries. We don't have enough such information, positive information. We have a lot of negative information. There are dozens of figures who we can be proud of. When I was a first-year student at the history department, we were writing to the topic the figures which we are proud of, and I remember that I didn't know who to write about, although I knew history both of Ukraine, Europe, and the world history as well. And I would like our general public to be proud of the representatives of our city. The lectures is very important for me. I will be telling about Gershkorupi. Ukraine has many writers. Gershkorupi was born in Kiev, and Drilsky was born in Kiev. All other writers, Ukrainian writers, they were not born in Kiev. They were born in other regions. Gershkorupi lived all his life in the building at Volodymyrska Street, and there is a memorial plate on that building. Tereshchenko became a translator, and Shkoropy was arrested in that building, and he was killed by the Soviet regime. When I was told why only Tereshchenko's memorial plate on that building, and nobody knows about Shkoropy, but it is vast interest among the general public in Kiev to know about Georg Shkoropy, who was one of the figures creating the history of Ukraine. And on the excursion by traces everyone knows about Kiev in the times of empire, and I will be telling about Ukrainian Kiev. Every cultural figure, when lecturers tell histories of their lives, they are we could hardly imagine those conditions in which they lived, in which they created their works. So I would like to inspire people to live in this country, and I will be very brief. I am very much interested in this topic, and being serious, it is so nice when you can work as a mediator between researchers and general public interested in certain topics. It is only natural that people would like to get interesting information and to drink a cup of coffee and to do all these things in comfortable conditions. Thank you very much for this platform. Thank you, and we wish you every success, and we hope that such lectures you will deliver not only in Kiev but in other